家好，我是汪处克，好久不见。大家都知道，今年是锡金12世阙家诞辰100周年，锡金国内举行了较为盛大的活动，王室成员也悉数出席，不丹王室和印度所谓当局的代表也出席了相关活动。为了帮助大家更好地了解12世阙家对锡金治理的理念，还有锡金独立自主的黄金时期，给大家带来阙家和 Hope Cook 王后在1964年美国海外记者俱乐部的采访录音。话不多说，让我们开始吧。
It's a very great pleasure for all of us here at the Overseas Press Club to welcome today the King and Queen of Sikkim. All of us know their dramatic, glamorous story very well indeed. The story of the Yankee Maharani, as one magazine wrote, the story of Sikkim and its Yankee Queen, as NBC titled it in their one-hour television show this past summer, is something that has been in the consciousness of all of us. Before asking their Royal Highnesses to address us, I'd like to present those who are here at the head table as our special guest today. Mrs. Selden Chapin, the widow of the former United States ambassador who raised the Maharani in embassies around the world, is our first guest. Would you stand a second? His Excellency, the Japanese Consul here in New York, Mr. Togo. At the other end of the dais, I'd like to present the wife of the president of the college which Hope Cook attended, Sarah Lawrence, Mrs. Paul Ward. Joe Newman, our program director, who will handle the question period. Charming Mrs. Togo, wife of the Consul General of Japan. The president of Sarah Lawrence, Dr. Paul Ward. Without further ado, it is my very great privilege to present to you His Royal Highness the King of Sikkim. Your Highness.
Mr. President and friends, it seems rather presumptuous of me to try and teach you more about Sikkim, but I would like to say a few words about Sikkim so that you may know our small country a little better. Our country was first established around about 1500, and our family has been ruling there since then. We are placed between Bhutan and Nepal, and that is very important because we form the link between the three actually Himalayan kingdoms. We are at the same time astride the main trade route to Tibet, which is of course now closed because of the troubles between India and China. We are very small but very important sort of politically, in the sense that we are at the head of the very small neck that separates actually Eastern India from actually Western India. So in that way we are very important to for India and maybe various various other neighbors. We are trying to keep ahead of our neighbors because we believe we have survived because we have been one step ahead of our neighbors. Although we are the smallest, and our neighbors have in the past taken slices off Sikkim, we have still been able to survive because of this. Hence, we are trying to give more education for our children, not just schooling, but we want them to learn various trades and various professions. For this, I think our government spends a great deal of money. In fact, we would be spending something like actually 20% of our whole budget. Then we at the same time have come to believe that we cannot keep up our standard of living merely by our present economy, which is purely agricultural. So we are trying to start off various factories and small scale industries in our country to try and get them in. The government of Sikkim gives very liberal tax terms. For example, the first people that came in, we gave them a tax-free holiday of 7 years and the guarantee that income tax will not be more than 10% for 25 years. So you will see that we are trying to keep one step ahead this way, and we feel it is essential for our survival. Now for this, we get quite a lot of aid and help from our southern neighbor, a government of India, which is our protecting power. Now something about the people. Well, we are on the crossroads of the north and south. We have several kinds of people in Sikkim. We have got people from Tibet, we have got people from India, and people from actually Nepal. Now, Nepal, they have very many tribes, and I think all the tribes that live in Nepal have come over to Sikkim in some proportion. We have got about 65% of our people have come from Nepal. We have people from Tibet, especially recently. We have got some 5,000 Tibetan refugees. Our total population is 167,000 only. So 5,000 is a large number for us to have, but we still are being good neighbors. As far as thought and culture is concerned, again, it is the meeting point between the north and south. About 4 languages are spoken in Sikkim: Lepcha, Sikkimese, Tibetan, and Gurkhali. That is the language spoken in Nepal. And very many people speak Hindi also. So it is a blending of language and culture. We have Hindus and a Buddhist, and a substantial number of our people are Christians also. I do not know what else I could tell you, but I hope in these few words I have been able to try to introduce a little of Sikkim to you here today, and I thank our host and the press club very much for the honor that they have done us in very kindly having us here today. Thank you.
Very many of Her Royal Highness's classmates were here coming up saying, Hopi, it's lovely to see you. Talking to Her Highness, I said that one thing I'd like to know is how do you pronounce it, Himalayan or Himalayan? And she said, I've never known, and the extraordinary thing is that there, at the top of the world, in those mountains, the name isn't used at all. So there's no way to learn locally. One of the things Her Royal Highness has done in Sikkim has been to work with the Minister of National Development in writing a brochure on the handicrafts of her country, the weaving, the silverwork, the woodwork, the painting that is done there, and that product of Her Royal Highness soon will be published, and it's the hope of the royal family that it will help arouse interest around the world in the handicrafts of Sikkim. It's my pleasure to introduce Her Royal Highness.
Well, about Sikkim, I don't know. My husband referred to it as a small country, but this does have advantages in promoting the image of Sikkim. We had an unofficial invitation the other day to recreate a full-scale structure of Sikkim at the World's Fair. I don't know. This might help promote our image. Also, other ways. You might have heard of the abominable snowman, which lives in Sikkim. Now, apparently this year there's a great monster craze throughout the USA. So we thought if we could just infiltrate our abominable snowman into this, that we might earn foreign exchange and also get a little better known abroad. But really, the problem of an image is one that does not beset us as much as the problem of enhancing our own identity within Sikkim. This is the most important thing, and it is one that we are all very much concerned with there. Now, an identity is an elusive thing. It's an intangible thing in many ways. It can be crystallized into art, into philosophy, into dances, into music, into laws, etc. This is being worked on also, and it's very much a concern with the education, with just promotion within the country, that people do not forget their heritage but live with it and make it grow stronger. So in talking to young people this year at home in Sikkim, we really have been happy with the growing consciousness of the importance of that Sikkimese heritage has in the minds of young people. So the education at home, aside from being a little concerned with things Sikkimese, is also trying to get a world's perspective and a world education for us in Sikkim, because being a small country, we need to have a perspective of the whole world and to see our tiny dot on the map so we can have a broader overall picture of where we lie. And this is exciting in talking to young people, in talking to people who come to Sikkim from Nepal, Tibet, other parts, to see this growing consciousness which we hope will grow. And that is one of the things that the arts and crafts that we've been working on is just a tiny part of, is this growing consciousness. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I'll now ask Joe Newman to take the question period. Joe?
The first question, which I think might be addressed to the king, asks if he would please describe a typical day in Sikkim, and if he would please hold this to just a few minutes.
Oh, well, I don't know if this is meant for myself or for...
Well, I think I can start with yours. What is your typical day?
Well, a lot of time is spent just seeing people, meeting people, and I think that takes up about more than half the time. We are very small and very quiet, so we do not have very many parties. You may have about 3 or 4 parties a week, not more. And then the rest of the time you spend, I suppose, trying to shuffle papers. I hope I've been able to be of some help.
This one is also one for the king. As a British protectorate in 1890, Sikkim was recognized by China. Do you have diplomatic exchange with Red China today?
No. In fact, the external actually relations of Sikkim is looked after by India, and at the present moment we have not only ceased trade with the north, but our frontiers are all closed.
The correspondent of the Associated Press asks, have there been any violations of the Sikkimese border by Chinese from Tibet?
We have had one such violation about March or so, March, April, but no serious violations have taken place. Of course, airspace has been violated from time to time.
This one addressed to the Queen. Would you like to tell us about the status of women in Sikkim?
Well, there's no role for suffragettes to play in Sikkim. That is a problem sometimes. My sister-in-law is in charge of most of the women's welfare activities at home, and occasionally they go to world group meetings of welfare sorts, and Sikkim has to play almost the role of an observer, because women at home in Sikkim do work hard. They share the work with their husbands in agriculture, for instance, but at the same time they enjoy the same prerogatives as their husbands and brothers, and in fact they're usually the controllers of the money. They run household finance, so that I think there is no real problem at all as far as women's rights are concerned.
This is a practical question which will have some bearing on your balance of trade. It asks, what progress have you made in the materials you are designing for the American market? What are they like, and when will they be available in the United States?
I don't know. Are we allowed to give
Figures?
No. Are we allowed to give any commercials? Sometimes you're not.
We're going to waive all political regulations for you.
Well, we're making them now. I would say about really a year or so before they are in any number in America. We're negotiating now with shops in New York, but first we have to work out all the business end, which I gather is very specialised in things. But the cottage industries at home now is geared up for production, and we've got a number of designs and colour schemes, etc., that we're happy with. So by next year we should be sending rugs and tents very much. We want to send our tents here because they're really beautiful and there's not too much competition. And also clothes and silver and woodwork, that and weaving, that would be what we were saying.
I predict that the Queen has just launched a tent craze in the United States. The next question, which the King might answer, is how many natives of Sikkim are living in the United States?
This is a very difficult question. No. Well, my wife tells me two. She should know. Yes. Yes, two. That shows you who knows more, because they vote at home. So
I suppose we would describe this as a mass invasion. This one for the Queen. This one is for you. Does the adjustment to the Sikkim way of life for an American take great inner resource? How did college life equip you for this? With no reflection on Sarah Lawrence.
Well, truly at home it's in spirit not at all different from really being here with people I love here. So it's all a personal thing. It's not a great question of adaptation to culture, etc., because mountain people are very open, very direct, very happy people, and so this is an easy climate and a beautiful one. And I don't know how well I would have been prepared for life in America from Sarah Lawrence. I don't know.
This one for the King. To what degree is Red China a threat to the security of Sikkim?
well, we are so small that I don't think China would have a plan for sort of Sikkim as such, because we are so few people and such a small area. But no doubt we fit in a greater picture, and at home we are all trying to do our little bit. We feel that there will not be a direct attack on Sikkim as such, but we are geared up to all eventualities.
To the Queen, do you find that ideas about child rearing in Sikkim are of interest and value to you as compared with Dr. Spock?
At home, people are of the sort of pick the baby up school when they have time. I guess time is the big element in raising children there as it is here at home. A lot of child rearing comes just with a little bit from expediency, I think, in just what you're doing at the moment. So I think it's the same really there as here.
This one is, what was your impression of New York after your absence?
Well, it's just so lovely to meet so many friends, and I've always loved New York, and I do still, and I'm happy that all our children too can share it with us this time.
Another one related to it, what was your most difficult adjustment you had to make during your first months in Sikkim?
Well, truly nothing that is major, really, except it was a new life as a married person, really, perhaps a personal thing, rather more important than the fact of being in a new country.
I wonder if the king would try this one. What kind of recreation do teenagers engage in after school hours?
Well, I suppose playing football is one great thing in our country. So the boys that are sort of might say naughty play football. The rest and the girls help with the house, and the good boys help with the house also, I suppose.
And this, the last one, on a personal note, could you tell us what you are wearing? Is the gray dress traditional? Do you wear sweaters at home?
Truly, this dress is basically traditional, but it's got short sleeves and no blouse because it's cooler. We would wear a blouse at home, and sweaters if you like. Incidentally, we make very beautiful sweaters which are like Scandinavian sweaters and having heavy wool, and we will be exporting those also.
I think I pulled it. This has been a very rare, a unique experience, a happy experience for all of us. The applause of everyone has told their Royal Highnesses how much we appreciated this visit from them. May I make one request that everybody remain seated while the King and Queen go downstairs. They have a quick appointment there with the television and then have a long round of family dental appointments. Thanks for being with us.
如果你听到这里，说明你真的在意西晋。在今年的庆祝活动中，13世阙家在采访时提到了葡提亚族和藏族同根同源，这在当地引起了一些争议。一些人认为追溯这些历史会让西晋对印度的认同感降低，转而去认同西藏乃至是中国。事实上，这一问题刚才在录音中也提到了，长期以来西晋人从未放弃去增强本民族的认同和同宗同源的藏文化的传承。我想说，我们当然应该在意西晋，因为藏族和汉族是兄弟姐妹，而西晋人同样是中国人的兄弟姐妹。